What's up, Speed Demons? Welcome to episode 2 of the Sonic Cartoon War. This time, we're comparing Sonic SATAM and Sonic X, and with me, like always, is Bob.
Sonic Boom?
That is episode 1 of SATAM. Good point. Chris Wolfhard.
You ever seen somebody get despawned?
And Dr. Aggro.
I know what he looks like, but trust me, he's totally 18.
Bartleby was in the other episode. That's right. Just like last time, we watched the first episode, the best episode, and the worst episode. And on Sonic X, I needed some context for Sonic Omens, the fan game. So I watched an extra episode we'll talk about later.
So did I, but I watched the wrong one. It's like, which one did Dan say he was? The last episode of season 1? I guess that must be it. It says it has Supersonic in it.
Yeah,
sure, why not?
I screwed up. I said season 1 on that stream instead of season 2. Anyway, let's get to talking about Sonic SATAM, the Sonic that many of us grew up with. And as Aggro put it last time, the one we were trying to watch when Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog came on instead.
Oh, it was always rough.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. It was, like, and I don't hold that against Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog nowadays, but I certainly did then.
Right, we have plenty of other things to hold against Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog nowadays.
like, you know, Robo Ninjas.
Yeah.
So the 3 episodes we watched this time would be Sonic Boom, Season 1, Episode 1, that Bob put that clever reference to in our intros. The best episode, Sonic is Season 2, Episode 13, The Doomsday Project, which has an 8.3
Also the last one.
Right.
Yeah, it is also the last episode of the series, because the series only got 26 episodes. And the worst episode, it is completely insane given the impact it had on my child brain.
Right?
Mm-hmm. And the worst episode, Season 2, Episode 9, The Odd Couple / Rebecca. Another worst episode with Robo.
They really succeeded picking that one. Jesus Christ.
They were the spot on IMDb for the first time.
Let's do it. Let's just go straight into the worst first.
It was terrible. It focuses on Antoine, who is fine in the comics, but terrible in this show.
Horrible in this.
Absolutely awful.
I was literally begging for Bartleby during this 2-part. Because here's the thing, it's a split episode. You get 2 episodes, and it's just so much Antoine.
Yeah, he's all over it. His voice is grating. His entire personality is terrible.
He's a shit character, but I never get tired of listening to him because it's Rob Paulson doing an incredibly cartoonish French accent.
Yeah, it's like, hey, Yakka Warner, can you insult the French with every syllable?
Oh, God, it is Rob Paulson.
It is just him doing that voice.
On voice actor things, Snively, Robotnik's sidekick, is the big heads in Rocko's Modern Life.
Yes, which is really good because you can hear it once you're told that. You're like, oh, yeah, he has like a little this.
See, watching SATAM is really jarring to me because all of in my brain, all these characters look the way they do in this Archie comic post issue 160, where they get a really consistent good artist.
Yeah, I bet that helps.
So I'm like, why are these all fucked up monstrosities? Oh my God.
Yeah, the plot of these episodes, real quick, for this episode 9, The Odd Couple, is what happens is this dragon, Dulcie, who's super obviously Cree Summers, I believe it is, who voices the Black Rugrat and countless other black characters in animated cartoons when we were growing up, crashes into the ground in the snowy area because their town is snowed over and causes one of the houses to get demolished. So Sonic has to go stay with Antoine.
Oh, and he's a neurotic, clean freak Frenchman. Oh my God.
Oh, chili dogs, no, I did not want chili dogs. Oh, the dishes, there are so many dishes.
Honestly, the best part of this setup is that, yes, Antoine is portrayed as being neurotic and overly concerned about these things, but also Sonic is just an asshole in this show.
Yes. Absolute piece of garbage.
Like, unreasonably so. It doesn't even really make sense he's this annoying.
He's tracking mud in all over the house with his shoes.
Mm-hmm. And if that were it, sure.
Yeah.
But it seems like every other thing is,
And then
he's going to ruin his kitchen. He's going to do all of this.
And then at one point, Sonic takes off his shoes and then his socks, and he has a really fucked up looking feet.
He does.
And I'm like, no, I did not need to see any Sonic who articulates toes. No one asked for this.
We're going to get the next 3D Sonic game, the sequel to Frontiers. We see his toes.
Why isn't it the sequel to Boom at that point? It should be Boom, the re-rise of Lyric.
No, I'm sorry. We like seeing a Western designed Sonic toes. We've seen that. We need the Japanese toes.
What do Japanese designed Sonic toes look like? That's
don't
what
wanna
Bob's
know.
wondering.
I do not want to know.
Look, here's what I'm saying, and maybe this is me. Maybe I'm wrong. I think in a best case scenario, you end up with you remember Banjo Nuts and Bolts, that like art style of his paws. In a best case scenario, your hyper realistic paw looks like that, right? Or it's just like cuboid almost, because Banjo was really blocky in Banjo Nuts and Bolts.
he had that blocky look. That was
blocky
horrifying.
look. Anyways, we're getting way off topic. I cannot believe I was like, Bartleby's better than Antoine by the end of these episodes just because of this one.
Yeah.
Absolutely rotten dealing with this. But yes, Sonic is the asshole. In the Am I the Asshole post, the asshole is Sonic. The best part is when Sonic finally breaks Antoine, he just leaves. He makes Antoine snap and go crazy. And then Sonic's like, this guy's unwell. I'm going to leave.
I'm just going to build my own house again. It's like, yeah.
Maybe you should have done that in the first place, you dick.
If we didn't, that would mean the episode wouldn't exist, which would be great.
Also, rewatching this half of this episode again brought something into focus for me. I want to take a quick survey of the room. Has anyone here ever in real life seen a chili dog with a green olive on it?
So we were talking about that. Bob and I were like,
Yeah.
that would make so much more sense to be a jalapeno. Was this a Korean animator thing where they sent over what they thought was obviously a jalapeno and then they drew a green olive or something?
I don't know.
I don't know. I can't imagine that is who that
I
think an Italian studio produced it.
Which
It's
also
just-
wouldn't know about, like, chili dogs are an American thing, I think. Right?
Probably, but I don't actually know.
Right? So maybe there just is some barrier there that's like, I guess put an olive on it.
Like, my only other notion is that, like, olives go on the top of cartoon sandwiches, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Wait, man, and I thought Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog was made by people who are terminally Looney Tunes pilled. This person's like, what would go on a chili dog? And they're like, the thing that goes on the top of every cartoon sandwich. Do you live like this? I do. I have never eaten a pie because I always throw them in the faces of my foes. So first half of this, IMDb, as we're all saying, really locked it down. That was miserable. I did not expect an episode like that to be hiding in SATAM. But then there's the second half of this, episode 9, season 2. Rebecca, you're not gonna believe me, listener. I honestly, if you haven't seen the show, I feel like you. The walrus wants to make a robo wife, which then falls in love with Antoine. That is the whole episode's plot. It just stalks Antoine. And Antoine's just like, oh no, I'm being followed. And at one point, Sonic impersonates his French accent, and then the robot falls in love with him.
Yeah.
And for the record, this is the only episode in the entire series that has like two smaller cartoons in it,
What? This is the
like a
only
really-
one?
Yep. Every other one is a single. It really seems like we don't have fucking. Both these ideas are thin. Put them together.
It's kind
And
of
they're
like
both Antoine themed.
Yes. It kind of is the cartoon equivalent of what we would call the Denny special, where you take everything off of everyone's plates at the end and condiments and stuff and throw it in a glass and go drink this. Oh. That's what it feels like. Like, we have these scraps for horrible ideas. And together they're even worse. Yeah, this Rebecca episode is awful. I honestly hate the first one more.
Yeah, the first one's more of a lethal dose of Antoine, whereas other characters are involved in this.
Yeah, they have, shit you not, I'm not exaggerating. Sonic is in 2 shots in this episode, and that's it. I'm like, sorry, part of his character, Sonic the Hedgehog, has graced us with his presence for this one, and he's gone. One of those shots, by the way, is them knocking down Antoine's door to find him. He gets crushed under the door, so they leave. Bye, Sonic. Goodbye. Yeah, this is miserable. I was terrified, though, that Chris was going to say this is one of the only episodes that has the walrus. And I would go, what?
That'd be weird.
That's terrible. They're doing my man dirty. He's supposed to be awesome. He's like a walrus and an inventor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's Rotor. He rules.
Yeah, he kind of feels like the base for what they turn Tails into eventually.
Yeah, inventor type. Yeah, makes sense. So we can all agree this was terrible.
Yeah, IMDb got this one right.
Yeah,
they nailed it.
Unredeemable episode they found here.
I wish there was like a gold star I could give everyone who rated it lowly on IMDb. Just be like, you were all right. Good job.
I see his rated 5.6 on there. That's too high.
I would argue you're right, but these are Sonic fans.
Right.
When Frontiers came out, they're like, it's a 10.
To be fair, I don't really like, no matter how rancid the episode is, I love Antoine. Listening to Rob Paulson do that bit, I could do it all day.
Dude. Do you think someone out there is like VTubing and doing a Rob Paulson tier French accent?
I hope. I hope someone's doing that.
And their design is incredibly foppish.
Yes.
That would be genuinely funny. Let's roll it back, though. I don't want to talk about the best episode until the end for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Let's jump back. So season 1, episode 1, Sonic Boom. It got a 7 out of 10. Only 1.4 better than the one we just talked about.
Should be like 6, 7, 12 more than you can fit on the rating board of this site.
Because, oh man, that gap needs to not be that small. Anyways, it's just I'm going to be honest. I barely took notes for this because this is like the Sonic SATAM is this. It's the dark tone. It's people getting kidnapped. It's sneaking around. It's secrets. Things and computers. The key to our problem. We need to solve this. This is, if you watch Sonic SATAM at all, this is the residue your brain left about what that is, except not much representation for the whole town.
Right. We don't get all the sidekicks of the town. We really just get...
Most of the episodes, just Antoine, Sonic, and Princess Sally Acorn.
And her robot machine.
Her iPad. Yeah. Her tiny little Star Trek communicator that has a name. Did anyone write the name down?
Nicole?
Nicole.
I remember because
she
gets a holographic projection and becomes a character in the Archie comic.
Of course she does.
Please
does.
post a picture of that.
Okay, I will post a picture of Nicole the HoloLynx.
The HoloLynx.
Oh, she's a lynx.
Oh my god.
Yeah. This is a CG render that somebody made from the Sonic Wiki, but this is how she looks. Yeah.
Holy shit.
What?
Holy shit.
That's not in no way what I expected. No part.
That's awesome.
Oh my god.
That's
what year did this happen?
There's also a point where she gets this. I think this would have happened in like the late aughts.
It's like, how long before Sombra was this live on the internet?
I don't know.
I feel like time before.
I feel like if this character was on my team, maybe they wouldn't be helping throwing the match.
There's actually there's a subplot in the Sonic comic in like very early on where he meets Sun Wukong.
Okay.
And then he goes away because it was a one issue back in the early part where they just did one issue stories that were kind of vaguely episodic. Then 150 episodes later, 150 issues later, I'm sorry, Ian Flynn brings him back and introduces the Iron Kingdom, this vaguely Chinese cyber empire with an empress that is trying to bang Robotnik. Eggman. Anyway, they brainwash Nicole and she becomes this for a while.
Fantastic.
They brainwashed a hologram projection of a computer is really fucking
well, they
dress up like she's Asian. Yeah, of course she had to fit in. Oh my god. She had to fit in, Bob. It's the Iron Kingdom. They would have laughed at her.
It's so funny.
So we were streaming recently Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces, and our attention was drawn to Breezy Hedgehog, a character from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog that got redesigned in the comics later. Holy shit, Archie, right? They're like, this character must return and have drip.
Yeah, Ian Flynn, you talked all the time about like, yeah, I wanted to bring this back, and they keep saying we'll kill you if you try.
Anything. I will use everything and anything I can find.
Just scraping characters up off the floor.
Why did you leave these down here? They're perfectly fine.
My favorite is when back again in the very first issues of the Sonic comic, there was Anti-Sonic, who was from the universe where everyone is evil. Like all the evil the good characters are evil and the evil characters are good. Like Robotnik is like a kindly family doctor in this. Anyway, he is Sonic in a leather jacket with shades, and he looks like this.
Oh my God.
Again, like 150 episodes later, Ian Flynn brings him back and has him touch the Master Emerald and get mutated by it into being a totally different character design that is yet another evil clone of Sonic named Scourge the Hedgehog, who looks like this.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, I know Scourge.
Oh my God.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I bet that's some important lore for some people who didn't know who the fuck Scourge is.
He was the biggest loss of losing the Archie continuity because of fucking Ken Penders.
You know what? Fair.
But it's fine. He transitioned and changed his name to Surge the Tenric, and now he's in the IDW comic.
Come on. All right, sure.
Sure is a lot of stuff that SATAM inspired for Sonic storytelling down the road.
SATAM had such an effect, and yet this show is only 26
episodes. Yeah.
Yup. They got shivved. I've my whole life, I've been recovering little bits in interviews. They're like, oh, yeah, no, we had season 3 ready to go. We had planned the whole thing.
And I think episode 1 here is actually pretty good. It like introduces the tone and it really establishes, it's Sonic, but Star Wars. It's Sonic, but Star Wars.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's
even
fine.
have a Rancor, basically.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And Robotnik is the devil.
Yes.
Yes. And he's Jim Cummings. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
he's
Cat from
fucking
Cat Dog.
He's fucking Jim Cummings. It's so good.
It is.
It is. He's my iconic Robotnik. For me, that's like the iconic Robotnik
It's a
voice.
good
It is.
good Robotnik voice.
Jim does amazing sinister voices.
Yes. They're very like iconic cartoon sinister voices that don't work anywhere else almost.
His voice kind of works in Splatterhouse, the remake.
Yeah.
Someday we'll have to stream that.
I'm so excited.
Me too. I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. Why isn't that on Back Compat? Is that on Back Compat?
I don't think
I would
it
like
is.
that game to run well, please.
Right? That'd be great.
Because I don't think it's on PC. So there's this really funny scene with the Rancor that I talked about a moment ago. Where Sonic runs into the mouth of the Rancor and back out of the back and it explodes it, and luckily it was a robot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
I
would
think
be
it would
horrifying.
I just think he's like, Sonic, how did you know? And he's like, I just did.
Yeah, there was a line where it's like, the hedgehog knows.
Yes.
Which he is 100% lying.
Yes.
I feel like if it was Adventures, he would have said, because that's all the rating would have allowed.
As like a smooth guitar kicks in.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall, I think this episode was pretty good. I feel like the action could have been better. But it's got all these really cool tones. It's got a cool setting. It's got Princess Sally Acorn. It's basically got everything you would want except for Tails.
Unlike the other episodes of other shows we watched, the animation is consistent.
Yeah.
Like it looks like you can tell that the world is set. It's not in constant flux.
They're not ad-libbing art design.
Right.
Yeah.
Things don't change perspective shot to shot.
You mean like the knuckle shot in fucking Underground? Yes.
Like it can get a little rough. It's that era of TV animation. Sometimes you can see they're right up against the limit of what they can accomplish on their budget. Oh man, I pulled it up on streaming and it looked rough. I own the show on DVD. I have a Shout Factory collection that I had forgotten. Every surface of that collection is covered in fan art.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they were like this is a fan passion project, so we're gonna take submissions to. So I got flashbanged by a bunch of SATAM fan art.
That's awesome. But yeah, I would say overall it really earns the 7 out of 10. In fact, given the scale we've been working with some of these other episodes, maybe it should have been higher than a 7 out of 10. But whatever, fine.
Right.
I'm not going to complain that you didn't give it a high enough score. I'm mostly upset when you don't give it a low enough score, IMDb. Anyway, and then there's the best episode, season 2, episode 13, the final of the 26 episode series. The Doomsday Project has an 8.3 out of 10.
It was all right.
It was all right.
I feel like, again, they have gotten things very wrong.
Okay, let's talk.
This episode kind of feels like a mess. It feels like they're trying to wrap up everything really quickly and almost like they know that the show is canceled or something because of how many different...
I feel like they did.
Like, at the same time, they have the teaser at the end for another episode, but...
Where Snively is going to be the big bad this time.
I believe originally there was a sting there. The sting with the eyes. The original plan, I believe, was that for it to be a sting teasing Sally's father somehow. Like, they were going to somehow go into that.
Oh.
Which does come up in the comics after the show is canceled. He's stuck in the Phantom Zone and becomes a Crystal Man.
That's great.
Basically, let's just talk about what they did show here. Robotnik, like, fucks off.
Yeah.
Fucking dies.
Yeah. Snively is just like, oh, I no longer have him on my shoulder. I can finally take over and I'm going to be such a big bad guy next season, and this is it. And also, I'm joined by a friend. And then it just shows glowing eyes in the darkness, and I'm like, Shadow the Hedgehog, how are you? How are you here? It's 10 years until.
Well, we know who that is. He was even in an episode of the show already, Dan. His name is Ixis Naugus. He is an evil wizard that was trapped in another dimension. He gets out for one episode and gets put back in. I think Robotnik specifically seals him in this.
Yeah.
But they bring the thing was that Snively was going to release him from the other dimension. He's an evil sorcerer. I think the idea is that he was the royal sorcerer for the Acorn family, but that might have been the comics and not this show. But yeah, he's just an evil villain.
Great.
Like, he's an evil magician, and it's like, well, I let him out now. He's gonna be my minion.
Yeah, like I think the plan was that's where her father was too, so he gets out when Naugus gets out.
Oh, that's really neat.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. The eyes were originally supposed to be Knuckles.
Okay, yeah, that's actually sincerely what I entertained, because obviously Shadow 10 years later, I was like, is this really supposed to be fucking Knuckles?
I have heard both of those things from different people who worked on the show at different times.
Great. I'm trying to think what else was in the episode. It feels like you
I have some stuff to talk about.
I'll tell you what wasn't in the episode.
What wasn't in the episode?
We watched 3 episodes of SATAM. Bunny Rabbit was on screen for 1 minute and 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And had one line.
Yeah, I was also a little bit disappointed that our spread did not have nearly enough Bunny Rabbit.
And we finished the episode, Bob, you probably remember. I looked at Bob and said, Chris and Agro are going to be pissed that Bunny Rabbit is in like 2 shots in all of these 3 episodes.
And I get it. Like, I remember her being a good character. What the heck, IMDb? How did you rate this so highly?
You're like, this can't be the best. It doesn't have Bunny Rabbit enough.
Bunny Rabbit's great, but I feel like she didn't really come into her own until, God, what is his name? I don't want to just say Spaz, because that is what he called himself originally. But that is just a truncation of his name. Patrick Spaziante. She didn't really come on into her own until he started drawing her with Mega Man X limbs.
I like they tried to build up the Snively taking over bit throughout the episode. Like, there's a point, and it's really funny. Just the delivery on this is hilarious, where he just goes, "You don't give me enough credit, Julian." And I was like, you fucking just drop his first name.
That's something they go into in SATAM.
Yeah, this is the continuity where his name was the really fucking stupid element where his original name was Julian Kintobor.
Yes.
Because Kintobor is Robotnik
backwards.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Oh my god. Thank God that's not coming back in the movies at least. Yet.
Wow. Actually, now I'm blanking. I'm like, did they make a Kintobor reference in the first 2? I feel like part of me wants to believe they did in 1 or 2. Just complete throwaway line.
They might have. You know what? I shouldn't say that. They might have done it.
Maybe it was in the Wade show.
Well, I'm never going there again, so we'll never know.
Every time a piece of SATAM lore comes up, I always remember the interview where they're like, "Yeah, no, we never played these games. They sent us like 30 minutes of footage of the game being played and said write a show."
They did it.
I mean, there's not much to draw from the games. Like, you can kind of get it all by watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as much as it's there. I guess you could read the manual.
I feel like you'd probably get a better sense of the worlds by actually playing it and seeing, like, exploring them a little bit, which I assume in 30 minutes or so you don't get to see every world.
I don't know. They could have.
They could have.
It could have been a really professional player.
It could have been a good
You could
cut.
easily beat the game in 30
could have been a
minutes, and
cut,
you could have
yeah.
edited it at all. Because you
Right.
don't need to see both acts, probably.
No, of course not.
So there are a couple more things we really need to talk about in this episode. But one thing that's hyper specific to me and I need to talk about is at the end when Sally and Sonic are teaming up to go into the base to do like the final initiative, blah, 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 blah. They have the talk about whether he's going alone. And the song in the background is a remix of the Pelotvian dance, same as the game Sword of Aetheria's title screen music is. And I'm like, this is a specific weird cut. Okay, cool. Great. Anyways, it's through teaming up that they both become super. And like, Sonic runs super fast and whatnot, but Sally just flies.
Yes.
And that was fucking delightful to just see her go, okay, Sonic, let's go. And then she lifts her arms and just takes off. And I'm like, that
I must return to my home planet.
right, exactly how I felt watching it. I'm like, I can't. I can't make this normal in my brain.
No.
It's too funny. Oh, and then they kiss at the end of the episode.
I don't understand. I thought Sonic was only attracted to human women.
No, that was underground.
No, that's Japanese Sonic.
That's Japanese Sonic. Glorious neon Sonic folded 87 times.
American Sonic only has eyes for furries voiced by the chick who did Lola Bunny.
Is that who this is?
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
Oh
Lola
my
Bunny,
god.
No, that
Phil
makes
and
sense.
Lil, Hubert Farnsworth in Futurama.
Okay,
That's bizarre.
so I was losing it the whole time we're watching this. I'm like, Bob, every lady character in a cartoon back then, especially a furry one, is like so high pitched. Bunny Rabbit is high pitched.
Right.
The fact they chose to give Sally Acorn like this deep, voluptuous voice is just like, holy shit, they know what they're doing.
Right.
Oh
They're
yeah,
trying to
that is the
activate people.
performance. That performance launched a million furries.
You're telling me this lady did both that and Lola Bunny. The blood.
Wow. Wow. Lives changed.
Full-time job activating people. Incredible. Yeah, there's the action scenes, the fight, quote, 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 fight scenes in this a little messy as they run around real fast to cause a tornado to blow everything up. And
Yeah, and also a weird two plans that like go wrong in this one episode. Like it feels just like a total mess trying to do this.
yeah, so about how if you're a fan of Bunny Rabbit, not a good episode for you.
No.
That just falls flat. Bunny Rabbit's like, oh, fuck, that didn't work.
Bye.
Off screen almost.
Right, bye. You're gonna have to watch an extra episode just to get a Bunny Rabbit episode. Because, hey, Dan, say the personality of Bunny Rabbit. Well, it's a bunny that looks like Arden Lin in Masters of the Terrace Cassie. That's it. That's all my kid brain has.
God, yeah. Do you think she's a master of it? Of Terracassi?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course,
She can be the
Bunny
Jedi.
Rabbit
Good.
can be a Jedi.
She can beat a Jedi. She can't be a Jedi.
Right, she could beat a Jedi. Absolutely. Like, come on now. Of course.
Of course.
Sally Acorn might be able to beat a Jedi. Apparently, she could fly.
You mean, yeah, Sally Acorn normally, maybe not. Sally Acorn and the show,
Instinct.
of course.
Yes, of course.
Yes. The deep power stone. Like even like the first time I watched this as a very young child, like they get the deep power stones. Like, okay, our initial plan is to put them together this way to create a force for destruction, which we're assuming is an explosion, and that will debilitate Robotnik's operation. I believe they know putting them together the other way is like a huge force for good, but they're like, no, we're going to do the blow up plan.
Okay, I was wondering if it was pre-established.
He doesn't need a force for good. Fuck him.
It seemed insane that the whole thing was like, yeah, what if we just put them together backwards and then we become Super Saiyan?
It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. It was like if you put on the Portoro earrings, like swap which ear they go on, or maybe you put them on the outermost ears or innermost ears, it would do something different.
Right?
It kinda makes me think of like, remember that part of Lord Slug where Goku goes not Super Saiyan because they didn't know what it was yet?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
it reminds me of that where it's like they didn't quite they had maybe heard the term supersonic but didn't really know what it entailed.
Right. The footage they got did not have that.
Also, I think is this the only Sonic series that actually deals with rings?
Well, based on the game Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, where he goes, rings, num 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 num, I'm positive Sonic Boom did in fact have rings.
Right. I'm pretty sure rings are a real thing.
I believe Adventures of Sonic has rings.
Yeah, I think it
that
does
is
too.
So we're half and half.
Okay.
Wait, no,
Did
Prime
I-
also had rings. So we're actually 2/3 of them. Yeah.
It does. I'm trying to think of them in Underground. I feel like it might have shown up, but they had
And
so many other things happening. There wasn't time.
Bob's like, I'm not really focusing on the rings once the monk removes his hood. I'm focusing on how I wish I wasn't here.
They are in Sonic X. They were in it briefly.
Okay.
Okay.
So very
All right.
no. That's what we're discovering. Anyways, we need to score this now. Sonic SATAM based on the 3 episodes we watched, which, hey, at least one of these is absolutely the first, and another one of these is almost definitely the worst.
Yes.
Best? We're not sure. We're not sure, but we have to review it based on what we did watch. Reminder, this is a 1 to 10 scale because this is not one of our quirky series.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a normal spoiler cast review style thing. We're going to head over to Dr. Agro. Agro, what score are you giving this?
Okay. This is absolutely a crime because if we're judging it just on these 3 episodes, this Sonic SATAM when I was very young was everything I was looking for in a television show that I wasn't allowed to watch. It was dark. There was violence with stakes. There was Kath Soucie doing a really sexy voice for an animal lady I couldn't identify the species of that made me feel funny.
Jesus.
But for these 3 episodes, I will suppress most of those memories and give it like a 7, averaging it all out. Because I still love the shit out of Antoine.
Incredible. I don't know how you do it, but I
Good
guess
for
soldier
you.
on, man.
Good. Happy for you or sorry that happened.
Right?
Bob,
Uh-huh.
you now have to review Sonic SATAM.
These 3 episodes do feel like it's a service. I only have vague memories of the show. I never went back and rewatched it. I didn't catch it all that much on TV back then. I liked what I saw, but I have to judge it on these 3 episodes. And honestly, one of them is good and the other 2 are terrible in my opinion. So I'm going to give it the biggest buff I can and put it up at a 5. I want to believe more of them are like episode 1 and less like either of those other episodes.
Chris.
Yeah, the worst episode was really bad, and since the other 2 were the first and the last, we kinda didn't get as good an idea as maybe we would have liked, and that worst one really was bad.
It was.
I legitimately think that episode was worse than any of the episodes of Sonic Underground we watched.
I agree.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the worst episode we've watched so far.
But at the same time, I have to give a little bit of credit to the show because Sally Acorn was baby Chris's first fictional crush when he was like 7.
Hell yeah.
So I guess I better just give this a 6. It'd be higher if we had watched more. It was really drugged down by like the first episode, the big robot, the big Antoine episode, and then just the kind of messy finale.
The big Antoine episode has the same energy as Robin's Wild Ride. Yes! The old Batman serials. That's way too funny. I didn't come in we didn't sign up for this for me to be like a SATAM hater, but I am actually here to give it the lowest score out of any of us. I'm going to give it a 4 because, I generally, when I want to know if a show is good, right? I never judge it based on the first episode in practice. This podcast series is literally us doing that for these.
Right.
But in reality, I always watch past that because first episodes are some of the worst ever. And weirdly, in this set, it is the best.
Yes.
That final episode is such a mess in a rush to have cool action sequences and set up a next season teaser. that it's just a total mess. And there's no real Bunny Rabbit. She's on screen for maybe 3 shots and gets kidnapped and does nothing. Pretty disappointed. Sally Acorn's pretty cool, though. I'm willing to sign up pro Sally Acorn on this. I know. Radical opinion on the internet. Not enough people like Princess Sally Acorn. I want to go back and watch more of this just to get a better feel for it. Because the first episode's trying to set everything up. Final episode's trying to tease the next thing and has sloppy action sequences. And it has a real but if we put the decoder rigs together upside down, we become super and fly and later kiss. And it's like, okay. I hope this was led into it all. Well, here's the thing. That currently gives SATAM the highest score out of all of them we reviewed so far. Total amount of points, 22. Average score, 5.5 out of 10.
What a high score.
But we got to move on to Sonic X, which, because I copied and pasted stuff in this document back here, I put a colon in that title because all the other ones had it, I think. That looks really stupid, Past Dan. How could you do that? Let's talk about what episodes we watched here. We watched the first episode, Chaos Control Freaks, which is 7 out of 10. We watched the best episode as rated by IMDb, Season 3, Episode 12, Sonic vs. Shadow. It has an 8.6 out of 10, which is amazing. That's even higher than the final episode of SATAM. And then the worst episode, Fierce Battle School Wars, which is a 6.7 out of 10. Let's get to it. For people who know, the U.S. version and the Japanese version have a little bit of difference because in the U.S. it was 4 kids, right?
One of those, yeah.
So you can tell because the audio mixing is bad and it's kind of edited terribly. Almost like they had to cut around things they weren't allowed to show, or maybe froze on a pan a little too long because they needed slightly more time. And also, I don't think the process of anime localization was that locked down, so it genuinely sounds like at points are just like just crank the audio down really, really low and play our own music over them. We can't, because we can't actually completely mute it for some reason.
This is an interesting set of episodes, but it didn't give me the context I needed for Sonic Omens. Yeah. So I then had to watch the final episode of Season 2. Because I
misunderstood, so I watched the last episode of season 1.
I think I misspoke. I absolutely probably
You did misspeak. You did misspeak.
And I think I corrected Dan, but later you probably already left.
Yeah, I think you corrected me at the beginning of podcast day today, and I went, uh-oh. Oh, that means I probably misspoke at the, oh, shit. Anyway, let's get into a Chaos Control Freaks episode 1. So Sonic X is an isekai.
Yeah. Wow.
What?
Yeah, right. Sonic Adventure had showed that they were just regular people in Sonic Universe. I never would have thought we need to take them to the real world.
You need to explain why Sonic is there next to famous character Chris Thorndyke. Sonic gets hit by the Robotnik nuke and ends up in the real world, and all the cops chase him, and it's fun. We have a fun little sequence. But here's the thing. Normal cops are not enough. So they have to get the Formula F1 racer
They have
cops.
the F1 racer cops. That's great. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, they cut to him and like he's dressed in the red, and I'm like, oh my god, do these cops have a char?
They do.
This one event brought this series up so high in my rankings, like what I could expect from it.
Yeah.
It's so insane. Like, the cops just have F1 racers, a whole squad of them.
It's really quite incredible because even in the first episode, I'm like, these faces really look like Lupin. Like, I need to see who made this. We looked it up, and it was the people who make Case Close. It's TMS or whatever.
Right, so they also do Lupin.
Right, so it's both of those, and I'm like, oh yeah, I do see both of those all over this.
This is a very early DigiPaint show, so it looks fucking terrible.
I was sitting there and I was like, do you think the Blu-ray release doesn't have this nightmarish banding in every shot? For people who don't know, normal video is 8-bit. This is straight up 6-bit. When you look at it, you can tell it has 1/4 the amount of colors it should. There are blocks everywhere. A lot of gradients used in this show too. So it's an absolute nightmare to look at.
God, great. Like, this is what I never watched this show back when it was first first airing because I fucking hated the way it looked. I hated this whole era of digipaint with the hard shadow and glow blobs all over everything. It looked like it was fucking like you said. It's so low quality. Like my brain went, this is interlaced, but I can't see any interlacing. What's going on?
Yeah, I had a similar thing.
Mm-hmm. And also seeing that they often animate at a very low frame rate too. Like just clearly they didn't understand digipaint yet. That's what it feels like. And also their budget wasn't high enough.
The funny thing is, to me, the thing that was most off-putting at a glance with the show is that they often animate Sonic running on the ones instead of, normal anime stuff up on the twos or whatever. So every frame, they're just flickering a new sprite running frame of Sonic. And I'm like, that looks terrible. You look stupid. You do this in online Flash animation as a joke.
Yeah, I honestly am like, is this just the standard for children's anime at that time?
In Japan, that would be really funny.
Yeah, because I watched a lot of anime at the time, but not children's anime. That's a different set of things.
Bob, this has mature plot lines. I don't know why you're saying this is a children's anime. Please look forward to the school episode. I actually genuinely found this first episode delightful and funny in a number of ways. Between the Formula F1 cops.
Yeah.
And then
I was surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, this episode 1 does not have Chris Thorndyke basically at all.
Well, yeah. Once again, he's a famous celebrity, and we got to tease him really.
Right?
Yeah, they got to introduce. They got to introduce him at the end, and then introduce his Hispanic maid that maybe 4Kids has a very not okay voice for when she talks.
Yeah, it was not great.
I can't believe that the production studio that put a do 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 before an Asian guy talked in like half the series, they did pick voices like that.
Yeah, speaking of which, the Asian assistant dude also just talks like an Asian stereotype, where it's just like, yeah, not great at all. In fact, if I were to be honest, that's the number one reason I wouldn't keep watching this show. I don't want to deal with that on a daily.
It is really surprising to see stuff like that right next to, no, these are the Sonic voice actors we're still using for a lot of them.
Yeah, because Mike Pollock,
a lot of them, yeah.
This is still Mike Pollock, right? Like all the way back then. Yep. And up until earlier this year, definitely going to keep being Eggman, but maybe I don't know how that pans out.
Right? Unclear.
We'll see if that catches the eye of Sauron. I mean, Sega. But yeah, no, it's kind of nuts seeing those two things juxtaposed. It was kind of like with Underground, where we were like, this aired at the same time as SpongeBob.
Yeah.
It's like the vocal equivalent of that, of like, when you were on Sonic X, how did you feel about voice acting next to, let me see, racial stereotype? Yeah, I don't know. But this first episode was full of excitement. I thought it was pretty good. Lots of funny gags and bits. Pretty good. Did we talk about the best episode?
No, let's just go to the next episode.
You want to go to the worst episode next?
Yeah, I feel like that's because the best episode's so weird. Yeah, it involves introducing so many things. For worst episodes, just like, but now Chris Thorndyke is here.
Here's the secret. The worst episode's the best episode.
I know.
It's so good. Here's the thing.
It was shockingly good.
Right?
It was. Legitimately. Chris Thorndyke goes to school and Robotnik's like, I'm going to send in a teacher robot in order to fucking give the brainworms and red pill these kids to love me. And the robot shows up and goes, I could have made them love you, but I wanted them to love me instead. Like, oh
that's
my
so
God, that's
funny.
brilliant.
Yeah, that's really good.
Like, I don't know what Metabots episode this plot escaped from.
God, that's what the show is. Yeah.
It is. Yes, it is literally like in that same mold of like Metabots, like the Mega Man.exe one, all those.
We haven't told you the funniest part of this episode yet. The funniest part is the teacher who gets, like, the robot shows up, takes over his classroom. He's like, I was fired by the principal. I'm going to go kick his ass. He goes and talks to the principal. Principal's like, I didn't hire a robot. What are you talking about? They go into the room and they see the robot's doing such a good job. He's like, never mind, you're fired. In the fucking episode, he then goes to the bathroom, calls the government agency he's a plant from.
Yeah, he's apparently a CIA agent or something.
And he's just like, yo, this robot took over my job. We have to invade now. And he's like, you want us to start a land war for you? Because you got fired, you fucking nerd? We're not doing that. Unbelievably funny plot line.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And like it keeps going. Pop quiz. All right, you're writing a Japanese show for children that takes place in a place that might be America. You need to show that this police officer is an American. How do you do it, Dan? Go.
Well, I probably have him be quick to violence and not on any of the people's side. I would probably do that.
Wrong. Too complicated and political. Bob, go.
I'd choose a donut. They had other ideas.
Wrong. Chris, how do you make a cop American?
Make them swing around a gun.
You're all wrong. Hamburger.
Yeah, he's eating N Donald's.
Yeah,
Because there's a giant
That's
N on the
true.
logo. It's so funny. It's like burger.
Usually
That's how
they
you know
use the
he's in
W, but
Burgerland.
not this one.
no.
Knack Donald's.
Could be Nick Donald's.
Nick J's.
Yeah, Nick
He
J's.
could have been at Nick J's. It's so fucking funny. They're just like, this robot has taken over the student's mind. Policeman, you need to come with me to stop him. They show up at the school. Robots teaching Chris Thorndyke and the other students how to play baseball. And the cop's like, nothing's wrong here. They're just playing baseball. What's your fucking deal? And then he screams at the cop, and then the cop threatens to attack him, and he takes the burger from the cop.
Yeah. And takes, has it for the rest of the episode.
Oh, yeah, he tries to eat it later.
Right?
That's desperate. I would not steal food from a cop to then eat. That just, you might get like a cold or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you'll get swine flu.
But oh yeah, I forgot to mention. This fucking robot's name
Oh.
is Intelligente.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that. That is so funny.
He is the best.
I like that we also get introduced to Chris Thorndyke's school friends.
Yes. And you can tell they're the important ones.
Right.
They have designs.
They all look like Gundam characters.
They do.
They all have better designs than Chris Thorndyke.
Yeah, also, I really do hate Chris Thorndyke's design.
Yeah,
I don't even hate what Chris Thorndyke represents in
Yeah.
making a cartoon.
Right,
I just,
like, I
his
think
design's bad.
He even seeing him, his stuff that he does in the cartoon and how he acts, I'm like, oh, he's like an okay character. Why is his design like D tier Digimon background character?
Exactly. Like in the first episode, he pulls Sonic out of the pool, which Sonic not being able to swim. Great gag. He pulls Sonic out of the pool, and I'm like, oh no, Chris, I'm sorry. You're still not Digidestined.
Yeah. I actually, while we watched it, was like, that's what it is. He's exactly at the level of a Yokai Watchman character.
Oof.
Which may be brutal, but I think it's accurate.
This episode was really good, though. I actually did like it the most out of all three of these.
Yeah, this episode was great.
There are lots
There's
of-
almost no Sonic, but that's fine.
That's fine, weirdly enough.
That's fine. He shows up at the end to kill that guy.
Yeah, he uses
Yes.
what is basically Volt Tackle on Intelligente. I do love that Robotnik shows up at the school, too, and he's just screaming at Intelligente. He's like, you're supposed to make them fall in love with me. And that's when he says that thing I mentioned earlier. It's so funny.
Yeah.
We have to talk about, and they have a much stronger presence in this next episode, but they were in this episode. And the first one, Robotnik's two robot sidekicks, Deco and Boko, Bocoe. I hate them. They are the worst Robotnik sidekick robots ever invented. They suck.
This has to be where Cubot and Orbot came from.
But those have designs that work at all, and lines
These
and
have
personality.
designs. There's round and oval.
God, an oval is round.
Yeah, but he's long. He's real long.
Right, they're short and
He's shaped
tall.
like a pill.
You fucking hire an artist, and you're like, I need this character design, and they go, do you want round or long? What? I hate them. They're my least favorite ever. I hate them so much that it has never been this bad, ever before or ever again. Scratch and Grounder, way better.
I mean, yeah, their designs aren't good, but they don't make enough of an impression with what they say for me to even.
That's the third
consider that.
episode.
Yeah,
They were
they're
talking
barely
line after
there.
line after line. That was a whole fucking scene or two of just those two. And it's
Yeah,
like, neither of you have a personality. Can you please? If you're going to be here, could you have a personality? Even the maid has a personality. It's not acceptable in the year 2024.
I feel like Orbot and whatever from the newer
Cubot.
stuff, would be way more grating if they had to be with them for that long. Whereas I can
Yes,
just
they
forget
would
about
because
these guys.
their whole thing is to be funny at all times.
And sometimes they are. That's the thing. They hit ever. These guys didn't hit once, and they're taking up time. I'm
I
like,
don't know.
hey,
we
hey.
didn't watch 72 episodes. We don't know that.
Yeah, it was like the only time that Orbot and other bot hit was at some random point in a Sonic Boom episode, never in a video game.
I don't know. Maybe the ending. I feel like they made me laugh during Sonic Colors. I feel like they made me laugh during that. One moment. That happened.
He's technically not the same character, but people loved Orbot back in Unleashed before they gave him a name and a terrible sidekick.
Oh my god, that's so fucked up to be like, you're not Robotnik's sidekick. You're Orbot's sidekick. Oh my god. No, I thought we were doing like a straight man routine. No, you're a sidekick. How low you must feel, right?
I think there's some joke in one thing where one of them literally gets like the chicken's voice from Adventures.
That's a good bit. That's a good bit. Anyway, we got to talk about what is alleged to be the best episode, Sonic versus Shadow. An 8.6 out of 10. Once again, 0.3 higher than the best episode of SATAM.
It's so transparent. Sonic and Shadow go Super Saiyan and blow things up, so it's a 10.
Right.
I'm 12, by the way, leaving this review on IMDb.
What are you doing on IMDb? Get off of there.
I don't have a whole lot else to say about this episode because it's stuck in the middle of their grand third season plot where they go to fucking space and fight the alien tree race.
Yeah, there's a lot happening here.
I watched the first 2 episodes of this set, I think on Netflix, and they only have 2 seasons. So I pulled up the list. I'm like, season 3. What the fuck is? So I Google them. Like, yeah, there are 3 seasons. So I go to like a different streamer and find the episode. And as soon as it starts, I feel like that once I finished episode 2, I had either fallen asleep or gone insane. Because this is a bit we would write. Like, there's no way we go from Intelligente learning the joy of being an educator to Dark Oak Metarex, Space Emperor.
Yeah!
Chris Thorndyke is 18, I guess. Also, Shadow's here now.
It's really good because this is the episode. I was thinking none of these episodes would acknowledge this, but this is the one where Chris Thorndyke's like, I may look 13, but I am 18 years old, actually. And I laughed so hard when that landed.
Yeah, that was insane.
So
I'm like, that's a translation error, right? Like, 4 kids just didn't give a shit.
So here's the thing.
I feel like Dark Oak would be a little cooler if his design wasn't kind of bad.
Oh,
You mean knockoff Gundam?
Yeah, his design's really, really bad. So Sonic Omens, for people who don't know, has to do with the time stuff with Chris Thorndyke, right?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
So I needed to experience that firsthand. So final episode of season 2, Chris Thorndyke has been left in the other world. The Sonic characters returned back to their own world, and at the very end of the episode, they cut to the world Chris Thorndyke is in, and he has spent 5 years trying to find a way to go to Sonic's world to talk to Sonic again. Mm-hmm. And it's like, holy shit, 18-year-old Chris Thorndyke and his friends are now 18 too.
And they all look even more like Gundam characters.
They do. They really do.
And Chris Thorndyke built a Stargate.
He did.
Holy shit.
And then season 3, when he travels over, it reverts his body to a child body somehow, I guess.
For reasons.
They need to be able to have a kid's show and have a kid that looks 13.
And here's the amazing thing. For people who don't know, apparently, if I'm getting my information correct, the Japanese releases just the first 2 seasons, and then overseas customers were like, we need a 3rd one. And they're like, oh.
That does happen. That also happened with Ultimate Muscle.
It's just really funny to be like, no, we wrote a thing here. Do you really want Sonic palling around with an 18-year-old? And so I guess without even consulting the overseas customers to see if anyone would be interested in that, they just went, revert him. It's fine. He'll be a kid and he'll fight a outer space tree called Dark Oak.
All of that stuff, like, this makes me feel like, did the Freedom Planet guy watch this? Like, for a lot of those super, like, alien creatures, like, yeah, this could be the main villain of Freedom Planet 1.
So season 3 didn't air in Japan until 2020.
Wow. Ooh. I knew it went over there. I didn't think it took that long.
That's insane.
That's what Wikipedia says.
So, yeah, what I'm saying here is maybe there's a completely massive tonal shift between the entire first 2 seasons and this 3rd season that's commissioned so that way Sonic and Shadow could go super and
I
pretend
can't
they're
believe
fighting.
they labeled this Sonic versus Shadow. They
Because
don't
that's
fight.
not
They don't.
really what's happening here. No,
No.
not at all.
It's the typical anime title that's a lie.
Yes, I know. I've been seeing
Robin's Wild Ride.
I've seen that more in One Piece than any other anime I've ever watched.
Really?
Yes, they will just lie because, like, well, if we tell you what happens, you won't be surprised.
Usopp says it.
I'm pretty
Like
sure I watched
40s
an
and
episode where
50s
it said,
comic covers.
I'm pretty sure I watched an episode where it was literally Usopp dies. Like, no, he doesn't. Wait, you're kidding, right? And of course they were.
Metaphorically.
I'm pretty sure Usopp has the pass.
Point which part of this you think Usopp died metaphorically. Please don't do this to me. I just wanted to make a title, man. The entire army, the Metarex army or whatever, just look like metal kabutops.
Yeah, everything looks
Yep.
very Pokemon-esque.
Yeah. Which I guess
Yep.
comes hand in hand with being toyetic, you know? But man, this energy
Like-
is so different from
Yeah, very, very directly a Pokemon for each one, like
Yeah,
the
yes.
Kabutops and the Ralts.
Yeah, God, yeah. Oh my God, yeah, that thing where it's a Ralts or a Curlia, and it's just like, excuse, hello, we have not been introduced. What is your deal? Excuse me. Anyways, none of these 3 episodes had Cream's mom.
That's true. That's sad.
Yeah, no,
I figured
we
Chris
watched
would be
that
a little disappointed.
We watched that extra episode. The season finale for season 2 has Cream's mom. That episode is actually really good.
That episode was actually excellent, possibly better than the first and the best here.
Oh, definitely better than the best.
You're not sure? The
But
first one's
better
pretty
than
good in your
worst.
opinion? I don't know. I like
Yeah, I
Knuckles
like
and
it.
Rouge getting into an argument.
Right, I think it's better than everything except for the Intelligente episode.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, because
Yeah.
that's the first. Or
Right.
that's the worst.
That's the worst.
So I was saying the best in the first selections here. Yeah, absolutely. Highly recommend that last episode of season 2. It gets into Robotnik really doesn't know what to do when Sonic's not there at all. He's really upset. He's like, I'm going to blow up everything if you don't make Sonic appear to fight me right now. And they're like, if you blow up everything, then maybe wouldn't that blow up Sonic? Because you're talking about destroying the planet. Bro, are you okay?
It also introduces that Amy has infinite hammers to throw.
Oh yeah, so Eggman's going by on his fucking egg carrier or whatever, and she is chucking hammers all the way from a house on the ground, and they are pulverizing the side of this giant carrier, and they're just screaming like, Amy, please calm down.
Yeah, they're just getting stuck in the egg carrier.
I thought she was gonna Thor fly up there, like she was gonna lift her hammer and just fly towards the ship.
I was very excited. Amy Rose, voiced by Lisa Ortiz in this series.
Big
Always
win.
a pleasure.
Big win in the heads of Lisa Ortiz stands.
Yes, finally.
But yeah, that was just Sonic versus Shadow. It's a mess action wise. Not really interested in describing any of the actions that went on there. It was just kind of unamusing, and it builds up to them going super, and then they don't really fight so much anyway. And,
Yeah, they go super to like a Veda thing, kind of.
Yeah.
It was an episode.
So, unfortunately, that's the last one we're talking about, which means we have to go straight into reviewing this. Again, that's a 1 to 10 scale, and this time we're going to start with Chris. Based on these episodes, what would you give Sonic X?
Sonic X seems pretty alright. I feel like of these 4, the one that I would probably get the most out of watching all of would be Sonic X. It's a kids anime from the early aughts, but it's like a show that seems competent and to have ideas. Possibly really weird ones in that last season.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it a 7.
Bob.
Yeah, I'm also kind of feeling the 7. Like that's where this comes in at for me. It's a kids anime, but I had fun with it, and I would definitely watch more of it. Maybe not the last season though. Although I'm curious, I don't expect it to be good. I don't expect anything in season 3 to be good at all. But those episodes from season 1 or 1-2 were good.
Here's the thing. I have to imagine, yes, the larger plots of the episodes will be bad, but I feel like there's going to be a moment in every single episode where Chris Thorndyke just has to go, I'm 18, you know. And that would be so funny. It's like a Columbo's thing where it's just like the villain's going to do this. Like every time the villain always fucks up in this way. It's Chris Thorndyke will find a way to talk about the fact he's 18.
It's
Like Give me a drink, man. No, you're a child. I'm 18. Dude, we're in anime America. I mean 21.
It's okay that I'm hitting on Cream's mom. I'm 18.
That was the main problem with that.
Yeah.
Many people feel this way right now. So, Bob, what score are you?
It was a 7.
Okay. Dr. Aggro?
Each of these 3 episodes was entirely different.
Yes.
Yep.
This was my first actual experience with Sonic X because, like I said, this show is hideous in a way that, as a boomer anime fan, offends me greatly. I can't imagine what is in the rest of this based on these 3 data points.
Right.
Make a line that goes through these 3 data points. Sir, that's a triangle.
So it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It's still fucking weird. I'm going to give it like a 6 for being hideous.
I'm gonna be honest. I enjoyed the Intelligente episode a lot. I enjoyed the final episode of season 2 a lot, but the other 2 episodes, like first episode, kind of good. Pretty good. There are funny moments and it's good. Do I want to watch a whole this series that's like that? Oh God, no.
How much does the F1 car show up though? Would that change your interest?
Well, really, the peak would somehow, if we could get the F1 car to show up in season 3, and every time Chris Thorndyke goes, "I'm 18, let me drive."
I think that guy shows up in a jet at some point.
No doubt.
You right?
No doubt. Here's my thing, though. It looks absolutely hideous, and I really do not like the voices of Thorndyke household assistants. They are so off-putting to me.
Yeah, I would definitely watch the Japanese version if I watched the series.
Yeah, and the Japanese version, though, I'm sure we implied it but didn't outright say it is very different, I am told, especially in later stuff. We actually skimmed the first episode's Japanese version, and it didn't seem different, which is real weird. Maybe the first one was fine, and it was later that they had to make some changes.
Right.
I assume it's mostly just like music and like they edited shots for no reason to change
it's a lot of weird censorship, as I hear, for the U.S. release. But yeah, anyway, so because of those things, I'm not really as jazzed to watch all of this. I'm a little worried that I will have to deal with the assistance of the Thorndyke household so many times. And that maybe Intelligente is the funniest goddamn thing I've ever seen. And every other episode will be horrible version of the Intelligente bit. What if every episode's that bit?
It's possible.
Robotnik sending out a different fucking robot every goddamn episode like he's Rita Repulsa.
Right.
I mean, he's got a deck.
I'm really excited because I have heard multiple times that there's like multiple episodes they spend doing an adaptation of Sonic Battle.
That makes sense. How unfortunate. I wish Sonic Battle was a much more playable game, but it's like, okay.
All you'd have to do is remove the grinding.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna. I'm so torn between 2 numbers right now. I'm gonna give it a 6. I may regret this later. It may have been like, I should have given that a 5. You know what? I'm giving it a 5. I'm sorry, everyone. Anyway, I can't build a faith for the quality of the rest of it. And overall, that one episode is just salted earth. It's not good at all. But the first episode's pretty good, and the Intelligente thing's great.
Yeah, for me, that just puts the entire season 3 in a coffin that I never want to watch.
Yeah, yeah, and that's fair.
Yeah, I don't want that to affect the rest of it for me.
Maybe you'll want to watch it after you play Sonic Omens.
Maybe.
I mean,
I gotta know what the fuck this is about.
yeah, Aggro, do you know the insane plot thing in Sonic Omens?
I have been on content when it was described.
Okay, cool, great. I don't want to spoil it in case anyone comes to our Sonic Omens stream and doesn't know. I would hate to spoil the Chris Thorndyke arc. Anyways, so currently, our best rated Sonic cartoon is Sonic X at a 25 out of a possible 40. Average score 6.25. The worst Sonic cartoon is Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog with 12 points and an average score of 3. Come back next time for Sonic Boom versus Sonic Prime. I'm so excited to watch it through the lens of first, best, worst.
Right?
Because I have not seen all of either series.
No.
Though I have seen a lot of Boom. And God, if all 3 episodes are in the stuff I've already seen, I'm just going to be like, I know this joke.
That'd be
I know
really
this
funny.
joke.
That'd be so funny.
When
Dan
it-
comes in with like a 3 or a 2 because it's like, I've seen it before, it's dead.
Wouldn't it be good if the best episode was just like, it's the one where Knuckles makes the point about girls playing sports or whatever that feminism line was that was funny. What if it's that and the internet just
I'm scared that one of them is gonna be the fucking Chris Chan episode.
Oh, don't.
Oh, the future is dark and uncertain.
But it's prime content material.
Boom.
The executive producers for this GigaBoots video are Esme, Ely Broyles, Spaceman Spiff, Red Blaze 27, Brendan O'Sullivan, A Reminder for Symphony of War, Cooper Tank, Very Best Plot, Iconic Bane, and Rado. Thank you very much to our executive producers. And also these guys. If you want to become an executive producer or normal patron, head on over to patreon.com/gigaboots today.